decades, literally for decades, the Chicago Bears offense has been this graveyard of broken promises, conservative play calling, and completely shattered expectations. Think about it. This is a franchise that was built entirely on legendary linebackers and bone-crushing hits. The entire philosophy was basically just, hey, let's desperately try not to let the offense lose the game for us. But listen to me. Everything changed in a matter of seconds. Welcome to NFL Nexus. I'm your host, and today we are taking the blueprints of the past and we are tearing them to shreds. We are dissecting an impending storm. In this explainer, we are breaking down exactly why the 2026 Chicago Bears offense is primed for a massive, unstoppable, and honestly a historically explosive leap. Now, before we pull back the curtain and really look at the tape on this offensive juggernaut, do me a quick favor, support the channel. Subscribe to NFL Nexus. Hit that like button on this explainer and drop a comment below with your thoughts as we go through this. And hey, if you want to take it a step further and get that exclusive behind-the-scenes access, support the channel by becoming a channel member. Okay, let's dive into this. Because the stakes in Chicago right now, they have never been higher. And the machinery they are building behind closed doors at Hallis Hall is absolutely terrifying for the rest of the NFC North.
I want you to listen to this. Really, truly listen to these specific words being used here. Exponential jump. That is not a phrase that seasoned NFL insiders just throw around lightly to generate some off-season hype. NFL Network's Stacey Dales dropped this massive claim, and it immediately sets this high-energy, almost ominous tone for what is brewing right now. She noted the raw development of this unit last year and confidently stated that the belief inside that building is already soaring to unprecedented heights. This isn't just about getting marginally better. We aren't talking about adding an extra field goal a game. An exponential jump means the fundamental math of the game shifts entirely. What does that actually mean in the National Football League? It means opposing defensive coordinators are waking up in cold sweats. It means you can no longer just stack the box with 8 men to stop the run because you'll get burned. It means you cannot survive playing zero coverage blitzes because the punishment is going to be instant and it's going to be devastating. The foundation was poured last year, yeah, but what they are constructing right now, it's a completely unguardable skyscraper.
Part 1. Year 3. The exponential jump. The absolute catalyst for this entire operation is quarterback Caleb Williams. He's entering year 3, and crucially, he's embarking on his second year under mastermind offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. You see, year 1 in a hyper-complex system like Johnson's, it's purely about survival. It's just about learning the terminology, figuring out where guys are supposed to be. But year 2 is about weaponizing that language. The nervous system of this offense is now fully connected. Johnson knows exactly how Williams sees the field. And the contrast from just 12 months ago is undeniable. Think back to this exact time last year. The feeling in Chicago was just pure anxiety. The arrival of Ben Johnson brought hope, sure, but those early practice reps were a total mess. Protections were getting blown at the line of scrimmage, receivers were missing hot routes, miscommunications were everywhere. But flash forward to today. Longtime Bears insider Brad Biggs reported a chilling reality for opposing defenses. He said this unit already looks like they are in mid-season form, right now, in the spring. They aren't just out there doing training wheel 7-on-7 drills and shorts. They are building toward full, high-speed 11-on-11 execution. They aren't thinking anymore. They are just executing with this cold, ruthless precision.
30. I really want that number to sink in for a moment. 30. Caleb Williams accounted for 30 total touchdowns last season. 27 through the air, 3 on the ground. He threw for nearly 4,000 yards. And let's be real, let's break down those 30 touchdowns. These were not just simple little pop passes or well-designed screenplays where the receiver does all the work or easy 1-yard goal line sneaks. No. We are talking about hyper-complex off-platform throws. We are talking about plays where he's escaping a completely collapsing pocket, keeping his eyes glued downfield like a predator, and delivering an absolute strike 40 yards down the sideline while taking a massive hit to the ribs. And remember, you have to remember this. He did all of that in a year where the foundation was shaky, in a year where the offense was universally described as messy. That chaotic foundational year, that was his baseline. That yielded 30 touchdowns. So if that is the floor, the ceiling is completely terrifying. If he simply cleans up his footwork mechanics just a little bit and takes that natural developmental next step that quarterbacks take in year 3, he doesn't just become a superstar. He becomes the absolute focal point of the entire National Football League.
And we are already seeing the devastating results of this progression on the practice field. In recent full-speed 11-on-11 drills, Williams rolled to his right. He broke the pocket structure perfectly, exactly how he was coached to do it when the play breaks down, and he uncorked an absolute bomb down the sideline. Rome Odunze ran right under it and took it in for a touchdown. According to veteran quarterback Case Keenum, who was watching, that ball traveled 67 air yards. 67 yards in the air. And it wasn't a fluke. Later in the same practice, rookie Xavier Thomas hauled in a 50-yard absolute laser from Williams. Now, why am I making such a big deal out of these specific massive deep shots in practice? Because it fundamentally dictates defensive structure. When you have receivers who can legitimately, consistently take the top off a defense from anywhere on the field, opposing safeties are forced to retreat. They have no choice. They have to play a too-high shell, lined up 15, sometimes 20 yards deep just to prevent the quick strike touchdown. And the second you force safeties to play that deep, the underneath crossing routes, the tight end seams, and the entire rushing attack suddenly become utterly undefendable. It breaks the geometry of the defense.
Part 2. Unlocking DeAndre Swift.
But look, an unstoppable juggernaut isn't built on the passing game alone. It just isn't. So let's pivot to the backfield, to this quiet storm that's brewing in Chicago. DeAndre Swift is the versatile, multidimensional weapon that the Bears are specifically looking to optimize right now. Look, the Bears had the NFC's leading rushing attack last season, which is incredibly impressive on paper, but the internal feeling inside Hallis Hall is that they haven't even scratched the surface of what they can actually do. Last season, Swift quietly, almost under the radar, set a career high with 1,087 rushing yards. He added 9 rushing touchdowns and averaged a brutal, bruising 4.9 yards per attempt. And let's clear something up. These weren't garbage time stats against soft 6-man boxes when the game was already out of reach. He was executing highly complex zone blocking schemes. He was finding cutback lanes with elite vision, and he was attacking the A and B gaps with sheer violence. But I want you to listen to Swift's mindset right now. He recently told reporters, quote, "I still feel like I left some out there." Think about that. A career year, the best rushing season of his life, and his immediate reaction is fierce self-criticism. He's not satisfied. He knows exactly where the missing production is hiding, and he's going after it.
So where is that missing production? The answer actually lies in the tape from his days wearing Honolulu blue. Look back at his 3 years in Detroit where he was working closely with, you guessed it, Ben Johnson. In Detroit, Swift was an absolute terror out of the backfield. He wasn't just a running back. He was a receiver who happened to line up behind the quarterback. 156 receptions, nearly 1,200 receiving yards, 7 receiving touchdowns. In Detroit, Johnson used Swift as this dynamic, game-breaking chess piece. He ran angle routes that broke linebackers' ankles, he ran Texas routes, and he executed these devastating slip screens that completely paralyzed aggressive edge rushers. Now flip the script and look at 2025 in Chicago. Total opposite. He hit career lows in targets and receptions. The Bears completely dominated the ground game, yeah, but in doing so they temporarily holstered one of Swift's most lethal elite weapons. They treated a Swiss Army knife like a sledgehammer. They know it, Swift knows it, and trust me, they're about to unleash that receiving element on the rest of the league in a way we haven't seen yet.
I want you to anchor your entire understanding of this running game on this direct quote from offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. He was asked about Swift's usage, and he said, is he capable of more? Absolutely. He absolutely is, and he's a vital part of what we do here. Johnson knows exactly what Swift can do because he's the one who unlocked him in Detroit in the first place. And to make sure this actually happens, they brought in a new running backs coach, Eric Stootsville. Now understand this, Stootsville isn't just some guy holding a clipboard and blowing a whistle. This man is a veteran architect of the running game. He has molded elite Pro Bowl caliber backs across multiple decades in this league. He deeply understands the biomechanics of route running out of the backfield, how to dip the shoulder, how to plant the foot, how to disguise a route as a block. The deliberate plan right now is to get the foundational tracks down in OTAs so they can completely exploit and humiliate linebackers in the passing game once September hits.
And the crazy thing is, it is already being executed at a terrifying level. We aren't just talking about theories here. In recent OTAs, reporters noted a massive highlight that should send shivers down the spine of every defensive coordinator on the schedule. DeAndre Swift catching a deep pass from Caleb Williams on a wheel route. Let's dive into the X's and O's of this for just a second to truly understand why this is so deadly. If you force a defense to respect the Bears' heavy, downhill rushing attack by making their linebackers creep up to the line of scrimmage, they are playing the run. If you then hit them with a wheel route to DeAndre Swift, it is what we call a schematic checkmate. It is a physical impossibility for a 240-pound middle linebacker to suddenly flip his hips, accelerate, and run stride for stride down the sideline with a player possessing Swift's elite burst and top-end speed. The defense shatters. It just breaks. And keep in mind, Swift is entering the final year of his contract. This is a guy highly motivated, playing for his legacy, playing for Pro Bowl status, and playing for that next massive payday.
Part 3. Retooling the protection.
Okay, I need everyone to pump the brakes for a second, because everything we just talked about, the 67-yard bombs to Odunze, the deep strikes to Thomas, the chess match with Swift, the genius of Williams, all of these weapons mean absolutely nothing, literally zero, if the offensive line collapses.
The gritty, violent foundation of this offense faced an absolute crisis this offseason. The front office was suddenly forced into a frantic, high-stakes game of chess just to keep the entire operation from derailing. First, the shockwave hit. Starting center Drew Dalman unexpectedly retires. Now, casual fans might think, okay, just plug in another guy to snap the ball. No, Drew Dalman wasn't just snapping the football. The center is the quarterback of the offensive line. He is the one getting up to the line of scrimmage, identifying the Mike linebacker, calling out the blitz packages, and sliding the protection so Caleb Williams doesn't get killed. Losing that cognitive processor pre-snap is catastrophic. And then, the physical tragedy. Starting left tackle Ozzie Trapillo suffers a ruptured patellar tendon during the playoffs. Gone. Wiped out. In the blink of an eye, the Bears lost the brain of their offensive line and the blindside enforcer of their protection. Pure panic should have set in.
But the front office, they did not flinch. They didn't panic. They acted with ruthless, cold efficiency. They immediately hit the free agent market and acquired Garrett Bradbury. Boom, problem solved. Bradbury brings 7 years of hard-nosed, trench warfare NFL center experience. He boasts elite run-blocking grades and possesses the raw, unteachable core strength to drop his anchor against those monstrous 330-pound nose tackles. He knows the calls, he's seen every blitz look in the book, he won't be rattled. He is a plug-and-play general. And to replace Trapiola on the blind side, they secured Jedrick Willis Jr. They didn't just rummage through the bargain bin to find warm bodies to fill out a depth chart. They went out and found experienced, battle-tested veterans with first-round pedigree to immediately stop the bleeding. The protection isn't just patched up, it's retooled, it's angry, and it is ready to hold the line for their franchise quarterback.
Part 4. The ultimate offensive ceiling.
So let's zoom out. Let's look at the macro level of this entire organization. Because this exponential jump on offense that we've mapped out today, it isn't a luxury. It's not just a fun bonus for Bears fans to watch on Sundays. It is an absolute mandate. Take a long, hard look at the Jekyll and Hyde reality of the Bears' defense last season. It was a complete statistical paradox. On one hand, yes, they led the entire NFL in total takeaways. They were turning the ball over constantly. But here's the dirty little secret. When this defense wasn't forcing a lucky, timely turnover, they were getting absolutely gashed. They finished the year in the bottom 10 in yards allowed, bottom 10 in points allowed, and bottom 10 in sacks. Why were they giving up so many yards and bleeding points? It was a glaring lack of consistent edge pressure, combined with a secondary that was frequently forced to play soft zone coverage just to avoid getting beat deep, which allowed easy intermediate completions all day long. You cannot rely on a unit that is structurally inconsistent if you want to hold up a Lombardi trophy. Turnovers are volatile. You can't base a championship run on a bouncing football.
And let's not forget the neighborhood they live in. The NFC North is an absolute bloodbath right now. It is a gauntlet. You are facing elite, loaded rosters, insanely hostile environments, and highly sophisticated, aggressive coaching staffs in Detroit and Green Bay twice a year. In this division, relying on magical fourth-quarter comebacks or hoping your defense strips the ball at the 1-yard line is a total death sentence. The reality is stark, it is glaring, and it is undeniable. The Chicago Bears' Super Bowl hopes rest entirely and exclusively on the broad shoulders of this offense. They cannot afford to stall out. They cannot afford 3-and-outs in the third quarter. They must become an explosive, relentless, consistent juggernaut that dictates the terms of every single game from the very first snap to the final whistle. They have to outscore the flaws of their own defense.
So I leave you with this. The board is set. The weapons are sharpened and highly motivated. The offensive mastermind is calling the plays. The prodigy quarterback is entering his prime and ready to take the leap. The offensive line has been fortified. But the ultimate question remains. Can this explosive offense truly carry Chicago all the way to the Super Bowl? The margin for error is absolute zero. The season is approaching incredibly fast, and the pressure in that building has to be suffocating. What do you guys think? Drop a comment right now. I want to know if you think this offense has enough pure, unadulterated firepower to mask those defensive flaws. If you want to keep tracking this massive story with us as the season approaches, make sure to like this explainer, hit that subscribe button for NFL Nexus, and please consider becoming a channel member to support deep, cinematic dives just like this one. The story of the 2026 Chicago Bears is far from over, but the clock is officially ticking.